Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Meesha.
Welcome to another episode of the North Atlanta Real Estate Podcast with your amazing hosts, Meesha
And Jeff Ahi.
And today we're diving into the September market for North Fulton, South Forsyth. What's trending, what's shifting, and what buyers, sellers, and investors should be watching out for.
Okay, well, it's going to be a little bit boring, which maybe is okay once in a while.
Well, to frame our discussion, let's start with the big picture, Jeff.
Yeah, so big picture-wise, let's look at mortgage rates. We look at Mortgage News Daily for the rates, and it was saying, our 30-year rate as we're starting this week is about 6.38%. That is slightly down since last week. We've been kind of what we've had after the Fed dropped. We saw rates drop a good bit right before that, and then they crept back up a little, and they edged down a little after that. And so we've just sort of been in this treading water kind of thing. We haven't had any dramatic moves, and thus, the market hasn't really responded dramatically either. So we're looking at the fact that we still have elevated month supply of homes, and whether it's all these areas, North Fulton and South Forsyth. The thing that we can say has still trending is that the condos and townhomes are still a little bit slower. So the single family homes are still getting about 98% of their asking price, while the townhomes and condos are getting about 96% of their asking price. So, we're entering the season that for us, I guess, is coming into our fall market. Mm-hmm. And it gets seasonally a little bit slow, right? So
yeah, and we're seeing a softening of seller dominance, but not a collapse. We're seeing a lot of buyers are scouting the market for houses to look for deals, as the rates are stabilizing.
And I think it is a good time to look for deals. Kind of historically, if you're a buyer, you will find your best deal, so to speak, between now and the beginning of the year. That doesn't mean every seller, of course, is going to give you a good deal. But if you find that seller that maybe their place has been vacant for a couple months and they haven't sold it, they might be getting a little bit more aggressive in what they're willing to take to sell it. It's a good time to look for a home if you're a buyer, especially if you're looking for a deal. Yeah. We are having 2 more Fed meetings. One is going to be October 28th through 29th, the end of this month. Expected quarter point drop again in the rate, and then another meeting beginning of December, the 9th and 10th. Again, at this point, the market's pricing in and expecting another quarter point drop there. So if both of those happen, we probably would expect rates to be mortgage rates maybe slightly lower as we are entering the beginning of the year, which wouldn't be a bad thing. But this stuff is subject to new data coming in. And so if inflation picks back up, or if for whatever reason the labor market strengthens again, we might not get these cuts. So anyway, that's sort of where we are. Nothing too dramatic. We're just kind of like in a real chill, kind of nice fall weather coming in, and we're just
And September tends to be a transition month for buyers and sellers. So yeah, with the fall coming in, the Christmas lights right around the corner. Mm-hmm.
People are focused on football. They're not paying attention to the market. Only the serious people are out there. But I think like I said, it's a good time to buy a house if you are at least look for that deal. And, we'll see if anything changes. What we're really looking for is we still have these elevated supply, and I'm surprised that home prices haven't come down more. It's still holding in pretty well. So that's the thing we're kind of keeping an eye on for everybody, and we'll definitely break in with an episode. If we see something shifting, we will definitely speak up right away.
Yeah, and you and me have a listing that just hit the market in Johns Creek, 10090 Jones Bridge, Unit 8, and we priced it at $485,000. And the interesting thing about this house is it has an assumable FHA loan. Do you want to run us through the numbers, Jeff, and what it actually means for someone who's interested in this property?
Yeah, I think we touched on loan assumptions at one point in one of our other episodes, and it's a great thing. We'll just sort of go through it again for people that don't know. Is what you're doing here is you're actually able to assume somebody else's mortgage and get their financing rate. You have to qualify. And so in this particular case, it was an FHA loan, because there's only a few loans that are assumable, and there would be an FHA loan or a VA loan. And so in this particular case, it was a FHA loan. It was originated with a loan balance was a little over $300,000. And get this, it's a 2.875 interest rate. So it's below 3%. And so even though the market today for a new FHA loan is a little above 6%, a buyer can actually get that interest rate. Now, the challenge is, maybe for some people though, is you get that interest rate, but you only get their loan balance. And of course, it's gone up in value. So their loan balance now is about $275,000. And so that's what you would assume. And you would get that 2.875% on that $275,000, which when you go through all the calculations would save you about $600 per month in your pocket. The difficulty is you're going to have to come up with a little over $200,000 as a down payment. But if you happen to have that available, this would be, tremendously good opportunity to get a low interest rate that everybody's looking for and really won't find for quite a while.
Exactly. And I feel like an FHA assumable loan with that low interest definitely would be attractive to a buyer who's been looking for a house for a while.
Absolutely. If you happen to have that down payment, that would be very attractive to be able to get that low interest rate. So if you have any questions about that, just reach out to one of us and we'd be happy to give you the details.
Very happy to help you with that. And then a quick update that don't forget to vote. We are up for a few elections in the Johns Creek, Alpharetta, Roswell, Milton, and the Suwanee area, not to mention Cumming, which is going to be on November 4th. And we have 3 council members, 1 mayor for Johns Creek. For Alpharetta, our mayor continues to hold his post for another couple of years, but we do have 3 council members up for re-election or new incumbents trying to get in. Same with Roswell, it's the mayor and 3 council members. Milton has 3 council members and mayor, and Cumming has 2 council spots and the mayor. Make sure that you vote.
I guess it's going to be interesting to see how next year plays out, because we've really just had as we look back now in this year, as we're going backwards, it's been kind of a quiet year. It's been very much like last year. We had a little sputter of interest rates dropping, but other than that, sales have been kind of tracking along just like last year, which was pretty low, frankly. So I think there's a lot of pent-up demand we keep talking about. Maybe it's finally going to get unleashed next year.
Yes, and if you are a seller, be sure to price your house appropriately. Definitely invest in some small upgrades, the kitchen, the bathroom, curb appeal. Be flexible with your concessions and time your listing, because we cannot overstate how important seasonality is in our market.
Yeah, in fact, that's a good reminder. Maybe we need to make sure we do maybe a kind of a blockbuster show or maybe a few episodes around selling your house as we get it ready for that spring market. Maybe in the beginning of the year, we can do like a little feature on how a seller can really get ready for the market.
Absolutely. We will bring you October's numbers in our next month's podcast with a deeper teardown of one hot neighborhood that Jeff and I both really like. And thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, reach out to both Jeff or me, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
All right. Well, bye for now.
Bye.